Imagine you have multiple servers, and each one needs an NFS share mounted. You can do it by hand, but it takes time and every small mistake can break the setup. Now imagine you had a simple script that could do this for you every single time without fail. That is exactly what we are building today. Before we get into the steps, let us quickly recall where we are in our Ansible journey. In the last few videos, we set up the environment to run Ansible inside Docker. We configured SSH keys so we can log into remote devices without passwords. We created playbooks to update those devices. We even tried an inventory file setup that can handle any network configuration. All of this brings us to today's task. Today, we will automate mounting an NFS share using Ansible. We will work with Cloud Init Ubuntu VMs running inside Proxmox. Our NFS shares are already created on TrueNAS, and we have mounted them manually before. Now we will automate this entire task step by step so the process becomes fast and repeatable. Once you learn this, you can automate almost anything else with Ansible using the same approach. If you have not watched the earlier videos, you can find them in the I button or in the description below. And here is the bonus. After we finish automating a single NFS mount, we will take this one step further and run the same script for multiple shares using an Ansible loop. This part is very powerful, and you will only understand its full value if you watch the video till the end. So let us begin. So this is exactly where we left off in the last video, and we will just continue from here. If you need the code to follow along, you can grab it from my Git repository. For now, just start with the code from the previous video, because that is what I am using on my screen as well. And I will upload the final version for this video once we finish everything. So let me open the inventory file, and here you can see the PVE VMS group. This is the group we are going to use for mounting the NFS share, so keep an eye on this part. Now, we need to create a new role. I will open the playbooks directory, and then open the main.yml file. You can see that we are already targeting the PVE VMS group here for installing the QEMU guest agent. Since the structure is already set up, we can just add another role to this list. I will call this new role NFS client. Now let's actually create the role. I will go into the roles folder and make a new directory named NFS_client. Make sure the name is exactly the same because Ansible depends on that. Inside it, I will create a tasks folder and then create the main.yml file where we will define all the tasks for this role. We do not need to touch anything else in the playbook right now, so I will just save this file and close it. Now, when we install an NFS share manually, the very first thing we do is install the NFS common package. So with Ansible, we will follow the same idea and define that task first. I will keep the Ansible documentation open on the side because we will need it in a moment. Let me scroll down to the reference and appendices section and open the collection index. For installing any package, we need the Ansible built-in collection and then the apt module. We have already installed the QEMU guest agent package earlier, so the process will look very similar. I will scroll down to the example section and copy the first example from the documentation. Let's paste it into our task file. Now I will change the name of the task so it shows up clearly in the terminal when we run it. After that, I will update the package name to NFS Common. With this one task in place, Ansible will take care of installing the package for us. Next, we need to make sure that the directory where we will mount the NFS share actually exists before we perform the mount. This is the same thing we do when we mount an NFS share manually, so it makes sense to follow the same step here. The good thing is Ansible makes this very simple. So I will head back to the documentation page and go one step back from here. If you scroll down a bit, you'll find a module called File Module. Open that. This is the module we need because it lets us create or manage files and folders. Once we're here, scroll down and you'll find all the parameters. From these, we will use the path parameter, the state, and the mode. If we scroll down a little more, you will see a lot of examples, and the one we need. This fits our scenario perfectly. I will copy this example and then switch back to our tasks file and paste it here. Now I will change the task name so it is clear when we run it. There is one important thing to fix. We are running all our tasks as root, but we do not want root to create this directory. So I will set become to false for this task. Let me show you why. If we look at the playbook, you can see the entire play is set to run with become true, because most tasks do need root. But for directory creation, we override it to false to avoid issues later. So make sure you do this whenever your directory or file should not be created by root. We also need to update the path to match where we want the directory to be created. Once that is set, the task is ready. Now, Ansible will always ensure the directory exists. If it is already there, it will simply show OK. If not, it will create it for us. Then finally, when we were doing this manually, we had to edit the FS tab file and add a new entry with all the connection details. That included the NAS IP, the NFS share path, our destination directory, a file system type, and a few mount options. After saving the file, we had to run the command mount-a to actually mount it. So, to achieve the same thing using Ansible, we can follow the same logic, but the process becomes much easier. Now, let me quickly switch from VS Code to the Ansible documentation, because the module we need is not in the built-in package, so I will move out of the file module, then go back once more from the built-in package. Here you'll see another collection called Ansible.pa6. Let's open that. Inside the modules section, we have a mount module, and this is the one we need. Let's open it as well. From this module, we will use FS type for the file system type, ops for the mount options, path for the destination directory, src for the NAS IP, then state to define how the mount should behave. Now, let's scroll down to the examples. We already have one example for mounting an NFS share, so this fits perfectly. Let me copy this example and paste it into our tasks file. Before we continue, make sure you have the correct permissions set up for your dataset in TrueNAS, or whatever system you're using for NFS. You will also need the NAS IP and the dataset path. We have already covered this in our TrueNAS permissions and shares video, so if you want to check it out, I've linked it in the I button. Now let's update the task. I will first change the src field with my NAS IP and the correct share path. Then I will add the destination path, which we already created above. For the options, we will use the same ones we used earlier in our Manual FS tab entry. The state will be set to mounted and the FS type will be NFS. Now this task will automatically add the entry to FS tab and also ensure the share is mounted every time the system boots. That is everything we need to do for this task. Let's go back to the main.yml playbook. Now if we run this playbook, Ansible will first run the play at the top, then it will target our PVEVMS group and run the KMU guest agent role. And right after that, it will run this new NFS client role we just created. If we check the inventory file, you can see we have 3 Proxmox VMs inside this PVVMS group. Let me log into the prod1 machine over SSH so we can see the changes. I will copy the IP address and split my terminal. To log in, I will type SSH followed by my username, then @ and paste the IP address we just copied. Since these are cloud and NIT VMs, I also need to mention the SSH key. So I will type -I and give the path to the Ansible volume SSH key. If this key was already present inside my home directory under .ssh, then I would not need to type this. But for my setup, I have to give the full path, as I do not have it. Now let's try to connect. I will accept the fingerprint, and we are logged in successfully. Let me clear the terminal. If we run ls, you can see there is nothing here yet. No directory and no files. Once we run the Ansible script, it will create the NFS directory and mount the share automatically. So let me run the configure.sh file. It is running the previous tasks first, and now it is running the NFS mount tasks in parallel on all 3 devices. And just in a few seconds, it is done. Now, if I run ls on PVEVM1, here we have our shares directory. Inside that, we have the NFS directory. And within that, our NFS share is mounted. Even the files and folders are already visible. Now let's take this to another level. We will map multiple NFS shares using Ansible Loops and I want all of those shares to appear inside the shares/NFS directory. Let me clear this terminal. So now we need to create a list inside the inventory file with the details for each NFS share. And later, we will loop over each of those items inside the task file. So first, let's understand what needs to be defined separately for every share. If you look at this task where we check if the directory exists, this path will be different for every NFS mount. We also use the same destination path again while mounting it. Then the source path needs to be the IP and the exported folder of that specific NFS share. Everything else in these tasks remains the same. Now let's go back to the inventory file. Under the PVEVMS group, we can define vars and create the list for our NFS shares. Whichever group or host you want to apply this to, you can define it in the same way. I've already explained this in my Ansible inventory video, and I will add it in the I button in case you want to check it later. Inside the vars section, I will create a key named NFS_share. And under this, I will start a list using the dash symbol. Here we can define key value pairs. First, I will add src and copy the source path from the NFS client tasks. Then I will add path and paste the destination directory. These keys are just variable names. You can name them anything, but you must refer to the same names inside the loop. Now I will add another item in this list with its own src and its own path. Let me quickly copy the source path and paste it right here. I want this second NFS share to mount in a different location, so I'll update that path accordingly. Also, let's copy the destination path and update the directory. Now let's go back to the tasks file. Here we will update these tasks to use loops. The package installation task does not need to run for every NFS share, so we will leave that as it is. The second task, which checks or creates the directory, needs to run for each item in the list. So when Ansible executes this task, it will run it once for every share and make sure all the directories exist before continuing. To enable this, we add a parameter named loop. And for its value, we write the expression that calls our list NFS_share. This is the same list we defined in the inventory vars. Here I missed to add s at the end. Let me quickly fix that. Now inside the task, we only need the destination path, so we will use item.path using the same expression style. This simply means Ansible will pick the path value from each item while looping. Now this task will run twice, once for each share, and create both directories if they do not exist. We also need to update the mount task in the same way. So I will copy the loop statement and paste it here. Then we will replace the destination path with item.path. And for the source, we will replace it with item.src. Now this task will also run twice. It will add both entries to FS tab and mount each of them automatically. That is all we need to do. We don't have to repeat the same block of code again and again for each share. And the best part is, if we need to update something later, we will only modify it in one place, and everything gets updated automatically. Now let's test this. If I run ls on PVEVM1, you can see we still have only one NFS share mounted. You can also see the files inside it. So if the first mount is working fine, let's run the script again. For the first mount, Ansible shows it is already mounted, so it does not make any changes. For the second one, it detects the new entry and applies it. Let me expand the terminal so it is easier to read. I will also separate the terminals so we can see everything clearly. Now here you can see the tasks. Ansible has mounted both NFS shares across all three devices. Let's check it on PVEVM1. If I run ls inside this directory again, you can see both folders are created. And if we list the files inside them, you can see all the NFS content is mapped correctly. So the mount was successful. Now let me show you one more thing. Let's switch back to the terminal where the script ran. Here, notice how Ansible prints the entire item from the list. When you start adding more parameters to each item, this output becomes very messy. We can format this to make it cleaner. Let's go back to our tasks file. Under the loop statement, we can add a loop control section. Inside that, we can define a label. Here we can use our regular expressions to show exactly which item Ansible is working on. I will copy this loop control block to the mount task as well. Now let's run the script again. It finishes quickly because everything is already configured. And now you can see the output is clean and only displays the part we defined in the loop control. Since this is a string, you can even add some text if you want. Let's go to our task file and add a few strings here. For the Ensure NFS Mount Directories task, I'll add directory. And for the Mount and NFS Volume task, I'll add mounted. Also, if we want to show a different parameter, we can simply change it here. Let's update this parameter from path to src. Now let's run it again. And this time it displays the src value. So this is how you can use Ansible Loops to reuse the same tasks for multiple NFS shares without repeating anything. It keeps everything simple and easy to maintain. If this video helped you, let me know in the comments section. Also, if you face any issues, feel free to join my Discord server. You will also find all the code and examples in my GitHub repository. Now that you have come this far and learned how to run Ansible Loops and mount NFS shares, you can watch the next video, where we take this setup one step closer to a fully automated server environment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.